it's almost like there's a physical barrier stopping me from doing the stuff that I know needs to be done.
This week we're speaking to Antony, ABC to his friends, a photographer from Southampton. I would give you a very long introduction to who he is and what he's about to talk about, but quite frankly, I haven't got the time. There was so much in today's episode. Hope you enjoy it. Hold on to your hats. It's a bit of a roller coaster one, and we'll see you on the other side. Antony Burdett-Clark.
ABC, we know him as.
ABC, we know you as. Welcome to the Digital Circus Life podcast. As we start every single week, one very important question. What are you trying to achieve?
I've been deliberating about this over the last couple of days, kind of worrying about you asking me this question. And
why? It's the same thing every week.
I know it is. But I think for me at the moment, it kind of sounds a bit rubbish, but just trying to be happy and just trying to be content in what we're doing and like family life and work life. And it's not as easy as it might seem. You know, some people are like, happiness is, it's not. It's hard. Like, life's pretty rubbish for a lot of people. And I think just having a decent work-life balance, spending time with the family when I want to spend time with the family, not when it kind of work dictates. And just being able to do the stuff we want to do when we want to do it, rather than like scrimping and saving and struggling.
I get that.
I
think so many people in small businesses are kind of just struggling. On the top of the, above the water, everything looks all, like a swan. It's all serene and everything's great. And underwater, your legs are going, oh my god. And you just, it can be a real struggle. Just trying to be happy, I think, is a bit of a rubbish answer.
No, it's not a rubbish answer, and I'm okay with it. Now, the thing is, we might challenge you for some specifics, or in Adam Touchguy's case, we might challenge you that aren't you actually achieving that and you haven't realised it. We'll come to that. But a couple of bits on the life is tough, right? Because actually, you've hit a couple of things that I've already been chatting with today on someone else. One is, I met up with a mate this week, and he'd been at a mutual friend's 50th birthday. And he'd said, group of blokes, all in their 50s, after a few beers, in celebration and probably more than a few beers, late at night, they were all in tears, right? Because of just how tough life had been and the curveballs that are thrown up and everything else. And I think we all know it. And that's absolutely fine. But I do think there is this kind of, no, life's great. It is what you make of it, which is also correct. It is what you make of it. And if you let the tough things keep you down, then you don't go up, so it is a kind of go round and round in circles. But yeah, I think taking a moment to go, yes, it's tough, it's fine. And the other part, I think the reality of this is there are tasks that take 10 seconds that I nearly said but one will take 5 days or more to get round to doing.
Save me, because it will take, a simple task will take me days, because I go from here to there to make a cup of tea. And between here and there, I go, ooh, and I'll see something on the side, and I'll start reading that, and then I'll get my phone out, and then I'm like, hang on, that was half an hour ago. I'm supposed to be making a cup of tea. So, things should take me, minutes. Will sometimes take me like a week to do, because I just forget I'm supposed to be doing it. But I think that's kind of like, my wife and a friend of hers have both said that I need to get help. I need to get help. Let me clarify. As far as ADHD, they're adamant that I have ADHD, and so much of the stuff about ADHD kind of resonates 100%. And people say, "Oh, an ADHD is like a superpower." And I sort of get that, and I get like the kind of like woo, and the kind of the sort of hyperactivity side of it, and the kind of I must do this. But it also drives me insane some days, and I've kind of gone to the point of speaking to people and say, "Look, can you help me with this?" Because there's nothing coming as far as medical help, because GPs are way kind of oversubscribed with this sort of thing. But just some days, it's almost like there's a physical barrier stopping me from doing the stuff that I know needs to be done. I know I've got to edit a corporate event that, from last week that they're chasing me for tomorrow. But damn it, there's some stuff on LinkedIn that I need to reply to. And there's a thing in the garden I want to go and look at. And, I haven't polished my son's shoes. And I know that there's work to do, but anything just kind of presents itself as like a challenge. and like in front of me, and I'm like, got to get through this obstacle course before I can even sit down, even though I know that those things are just distractions, and I just need to sit down and actually just do it. And like it can work both ways. Suddenly you realise your deadline is tomorrow, but then you're like absolutely target, like laser focused. And I will get this done, and I can sit up all night, not go to bed, and just get it done, and not worry about not having any sleep. I seem to get by on a crazily small amount of sleep. So like, I think since the weekend, what day is it now? It's Thursday now. So I think I may have had about 5 hours in bed since Sunday.
Wow.
Like that's not. I'm not saying I haven't fallen asleep on the sofa or at my desk, but I'm generally like I feel like I'm at my desk all the time. Because if I'm not at my desk, I'm doing something for the family, or I'm doing something this or that, or doing some more work elsewhere, or a shoot here. And then so I'm always like doing something. I'm always doing.
And that's something I've always known. We've known you for many years now, and we consider you as a friend, not just a colleague. You're a friend of ours.
He's always ABC for me.
ABC always is the
You've
best.
even tried to steal my McDonald's as you've driven past me on the high street.
We have absolutely done that. We've driven past you, then we like snatched it out of your hand. But no, and so there's that thing, because I'm very interested. There's a couple of things I want to unpick, and something you touched upon a little while ago, and actually we've covered this in a future episode that's going to be released with Nikki Forster about ADHD and ASD in the spectrum, and how it is quite frustrating sometimes when outwardly the narrative in LinkedIn land as that is, the ADHD is a superpower thing, and it's become a bit trendy. A lot of people think that they have those
thanks to TikTok diagnosis. Yeah, you could just get a TikTok diagnosis, Anne.
It's
everybody
like on TikTok's got ADHD, like everyone.
And I think with someone, and this is coming from us, like your wife, we see those traits quite apparently in how you are day to day, and that's not a slight by any means. But how do you, in terms of, because you recognise that it can be quite challenging in terms of the barriers it can present to you working. How do you then, and I love the idea of spoon, have you ever heard the spoon theory, like you can only carry so many spoons in your day? You carry a bucket load of spoons. You carry a bucket.
And put more with spoons pouring on top of
your mouth as well. You can hold them everywhere.
How do you physically run, because you're an event photographer, right? So you are in a quite fast-paced environment, and when you are in those live environments and at music gigs and weddings and things like that, how do you prioritize then what comes first, and how do you continue to move forward with the business when you know that you have that challenge of distraction quite a lot?
Oh God, right. So like as far as work goes, there's always something still needs editing. Always something still needs editing. And that is, editing's like the worst part of photography. You ask anybody, any photographer will tell you they love going out, they love the shooting part, they love going out meeting people, doing stuff, whether they're shooting events and people or things, products, that is the fun part of it. That's where you get your kind of creative juices going, and that's where you kind of have fun. Like I did, so last week I did something. So I had an engagement shoot at the weekend. Then on Monday, I went to London for a 3-day conference for Hilton Worldwide. So that was great fun. That was very full on. That was sort of 3 14-hour days. And then came back, and then since then I've had another engagement shoot, and then just catching up with all the editing from weddings, from not from last year, but from the early part of this year. And there's always something piling up in the pile. And I think it's just a case of what needs doing first. It's not even what what was shot first necessarily. What's most urgent? Who's banging their drum the loudest to get their pictures back? So Hilton, they know they won't expect them until either the end of this week at the earliest, or possibly early next week. So that's fine. So they're there, sat in the pile. I'm just finishing off a wedding from January. I've got 2 engagement shoots sat just waiting, because they're not in any rush for them at all. They just wanted to get it over and done with. I think they were more worried about just standing in front of a camera and wandering around in the woods and stuff like that. So they're in the pile to be done because they were shot earlier than some of the things like the conference, but they're not the most pressing as far as they're not worried about getting them back ASAP. So it gives me a little time to sort of slot everything into a sort of priority order. And then in between that stuff, life kind of happens, and we've got our sort of challenges here as a family at home, and sometimes that kind of dictates that I need to not get an awful lot of work done today, or just fit in the work around what needs to be done. So it's just a case of sort of prioritizing, sort of kind of the people, whoever needs their stuff first. That'll be my kind of priority order. Life just kind of slots in around it.
So just to touch briefly, we won't go into too much depth about it, but you do have quite a challenging home life at the moment as well, because obviously you have illness in your house and you've got 2 children as well. You are kind of, anyone who's a parent has to I suppose, drop things at a moment's notice. But obviously with the health challenges in your household, things do change quite quickly, I suppose. At a moment's notice, you could end up in a hospital. How do you cope, I suppose, being in this world, having a job like you have, where you are the talent, you are the thing, you are the one who has to be on the shoot. You can't
and
outsource,
all over the place as well.
And you are geographically spread everywhere. Do you find that quite stressful, or have you found, because obviously this has been your life for a good few years now, have you kind of found a way of coping with that?
As far as the kind of the illness side of it goes, it's kind of, for me, it's like it might sound weird, I get the easy bit really. I don't have to deal with it. It doesn't affect me personally. So I just help Christine, when she's poorly and stuff like that. So it's just a case of, she's poorly, so that is always number one priority. Family, when I started the business, family was always the priority. Always has been. And in whatever form that takes. So I won't refuse to work birthdays. I accidentally sort of, with permission, worked our 20th wedding anniversary last year, which I'm still regretting.
How did you manage that?
Well, it was a quiet period of the year. I got asked to shoot a conference for kind of, and I sort of put a quote in. I knew the date. I put a quote in that was quite high. They just immediately approved it. I was like, oh God, okay. And
sorry, I need to interject momentarily. Emily, giving you a hard time on that, because I missed your birthday and our anniversary for about 3 years in a row, didn't I?
Alan went on his stag do to Vegas on my birthday.
Yeah, due to work and life, it was a bit of a joke that I was never there for them for a period of time. Sorry, Ant, carry on.
No. That's like, and I'm feeling kind of what would I do in your situation? I don't know. I'd have to. I think we went out for the day. We went out for the daytime. We had lunch. I think we went to Barmalone, had our lunch there, spent the day together as a couple, and then came home. I got changed and then went off and shot the event in the evening. It was like a black tie do in the evening, and the actual conference was the next day. But it still meant we couldn't have properly celebrate our anniversary and have all day, to go off somewhere and enjoy it. But so this year, obviously that date is kind of ring fenced. And Sunday just gone, was Christine's birthday, and as with the kids, I could have booked a wedding for the last 10 years. I could have booked a wedding on Maria's birthday probably every single year, because it's that first weekend in September. And so I could have done a wedding fair. I was supposed to be at a wedding fair on Sunday, and also had a potential wedding I could have done on Sunday. As it was, the couple whose wedding it was actually said, well, look, we know you can't do the Sunday. Can we do a shoot with you on Monday instead? So I got a friend to shoot the wedding for a reduced number of hours that they only wanted. And then they still wanted to book me to go out and do a shoot with them in the New Forest, even though it was raining, even though it was freezing cold and windy. They were like, well, we got married. It doesn't matter if we get really dirty now, get our dress and suit dirty. And so we did. We went, we climbed around. I nearly fell in the river. It was all good. But what was the question? I don't see my brain. Juggle it, right. No, go on.
I have another question.
With the fact that you have to drop, you might have to drop things at a moment's notice. Are you better? Are you comfortable with that, or how do you cope with that? Because that's quite a
Well, family is priority.
yeah, family is a priority.
It can be an issue sometimes. I don't ever want it to feel like an issue here. I don't like Christine. If I've had to rearrange stuff, and I have had to rearrange a couple of shoots and stuff in the past. I think if you explain the situation to people, if it's that bad that I need to rearrange, it's quite bad. And generally, anyone in that situation, if you say this is happening, I'm sorry, I'm really, really sorry, I can't. I've never had anyone go, oh well, actually, we're here now. We want, or you said you were going to do it today, so we're going to do it. Nobody really is like that. And as long as you're upfront with people and explain, like no one's ever kicked off about it. Like they might, secretly be going, "Oh, damn him." If they've got an issue, are they the sort of people I want to be working with anyway? But I don't ever want to put work in front of what we need as a family. Yeah. And that I think that is my number one with the business. When I set up, I used to have full-time jobs, whatever. I worked for a university, then I worked for a print company, then another print company, and then they moved premises, and they were based in town in Southampton. It was Cedar Press. Loved working for them. I'd only been there a year. Loved working for them, and it was right around the corner from Base Point Centre in Southampton, where my dad had his business. And he said, "Oh, there's a spare unit come up. You mentioned about having a studio." And Cedar would, at that point, relocating from Southampton. And I lived in Walsall at the time. It was literally across the bridge, like 5-10 minutes at the most. And they were relocating to the other side of Romsey. And having worked for a company in Chandler's Ford for like 18 months, and the traffic at that time in the morning potentially taking like an hour and a half even to get to that, to get even beyond Chandler's Ford to Romsey could potentially be crazy. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be spending every single morning and evening because I had 2 young kiddies at the time. Oh no, actually no, at the time we just had Maria, and then the following, I think 18 months later we ended up with Alex. Ended up, sorry, that sounds bad.
Ended up, yeah, Alex, we love you.
We don't say he's an accident.
So I had a young daughter at the time, and Christine had been sort of badly affected during the pregnancy and was struggling to walk. So I'm like, do I want to spend all that time driving? And so I had the opportunity to set up my little studio in town, sort of back in 2007, November 2007, some time ago now. And I thought the whole point was that I can be at work when I need to be at work. When I don't need to be at work, I can be at home, and that was the number one for me. If Christine's bad, I don't even, what I do, I don't even need to be at work. I can do it on my laptop and do it on the iMac. And I used to take my iMac in its box into work every day, like back and forth. It was like it came to work with me and came home every day. And so that's always been my thing. Like if I don't need to be at work and I can do my work at home, then I don't need to go to the shop. I don't need to go to the studio. And it means that I can, if it means I have to work at night, I work at night, because during the daytime I'm sorting out family stuff. But that's fine. I'm cool with that. That's kind of the whole point. I'm working. I work to live. I don't live to work.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes we don't make much money, but as long as we got enough to pay the bills, and as long as we got enough to do what we need to do when we need to do it, and I say need as opposed to when we want to do it, and what we want. Wanting and needing are very different things. Having what we need and have the kids having what they need for school and what they need to survive. That's that's the given. It's the stuff you want. That's the bit you save up for. That's the bit you kind of go, okay, well we don't, we would like to have a brand new sofa, but we can't afford a sofa at the moment. So you kind of, it goes by the wayside. But as long as we've all got what we need when we need it, and Christine, when she's poorly, we can sort of make sure that she's got what she needs when she needs. That's it. That's everything. And some people can't get their head around it. And some, you should be out. Why do you need to be at home? You should be out earning money. You should be doing this. You could do that. And I've had opportunities in the past to sort of shoot festivals away for sort of 3-4 days, or or work abroad, and I sort of have to know and be able to plan for those things. So that if I know I'm going to be away for 3 days, like last week, it was only 2 nights, but it was just for those 3 days. It's just making sure you got covered. You got something just in case Christine needs a hand. Just so we got covered. With weddings and working away, if I know it's going to be a distance, and rarely is it a case where I'd have to stay overnight anyway. It's just a case of, right, have we got somebody on hand? They don't even need to be at the house, but like her parents live 5-10 minutes up the road. My parents aren't that far away. We used to have neighbours before we moved to the new house. We used to have neighbours literally like next door and sort of 3 houses down that, they had a key should anything happen. The great point about moving to this house was that we've got a lift. So Christine can use her wheelchair in the lift. She doesn't have to kind of climb out of a wheelchair into a dodgy little stair lift and hope cling on for dear life going upstairs. The house has been a game changer for all of us. We've got a bit more space, although my office is now smaller here. It's a little tiny, not much bigger than the screen. A little tiny little place next to where the lift comes down. But the house itself was, it serves a purpose. It's giving Christine her life back, and it's enabled her to be slightly, in some ways, be kind of improve health wise, so that she can continue her archery. So today, for those people who don't know about Christine, she is a very good archer. So she started archery about 6 years ago, just as a birthday. Oh, I've never done it before. Let's try it. Realised very quickly that she was quite good at it, and other people noticed that she was quite good at it.
I'd be worried, Anne. I'd be worried if she's got that.
Never run away in the park.
If there's a zombie apocalypse, we've got about 3 or 4 archery bows and lots of arrows in the garage in the house. So today she's up at an archery complex up in Cheltenham. She's gone up to have a look at that. She's going to be an influencer for Archery GB as hashtag or at the disabled archer. She's on the Paralympic progress path to potentially.
That's incredible.
Like looking at LA in sort of 4 years' time potentially. So like it's she's not just a good hobbyist. She's like good. She's now a sponsor. She's a sponsored athlete. God. She's sponsored by Quick's Archery, and so they, she's got a little branded top and everything. She feels very, very, very good when she's wearing that. And so despite everything, and she sort of probably doesn't realise how proud we all are about how she just kind of cracks on despite everything. But despite all of that and all the sort of different things she's got going on health-wise, she's still focused. She is laser focused, like proper.
Like an arrow.
To potentially go into LA in 4 years' time. So, and I'm going with her if she goes.
I absolutely, but I think that's meant to as a credit to both of you. And actually, with Christine's laser focus and your scattergun approach, sometimes, which I think that's quite a nice. You're quite complimentary. But what I always appreciate about both of you, and that's story with Christine and her archery. Now, 6 years is not long ago, really. It's about taking that and running with that and seeing that as a potential thing that you want to focus on and get good at. Not just good at, being on a Paralympic team good at. And that's pretty. Same thing goes for you.
Bear in mind, within those 6 years, so she started very quickly, got kind of recognised. She'd been up to Stoke Mandeville. They looked at, they were like, okay, we'll get you a Paralympic archer. She came back to Southampton, had a cardiologist appointment. And while she was sat waiting to go in, they rang her and said, look, we're going to put you on the Paralympic, kind of get you a coach and everything. She went into them to see the cardiologist, and he said, you've got to have a pacemaker put in. So you're not going to be able to do archery for a year. That was March 2019.
Yeah.
Skip forward a year, she's like, archery! No, stay at home. So literally, 2 years of that 6 years kind of would just sat...
Crazy.
not being able to do a thing.
Sorry, Alan.
No, it's all right. If your question,
I want to bring it back to you on this, though. So,
sorry.
it's amazing. But you're very similar as well in terms that you've had some opportunities over the last few years with the events and things that you've been able to photograph. You make that happen as well. And I go back to it wasn't Ruben said the scattergun approach, but your creativity there, you're still very good at saying yes to these things as well. And I say Christine with her ladies both, this is the path she's treading, but you also about saying yes to things and having a good crack at it. Would you say that's a skill you have?
Yeah, like it's the old Richard Branson thing, so say yes and then figure out how to do it afterwards. And I've never wanted to be I never wanted to photograph weddings.
Well, my question for you is about being a photographer and why are you one? How did you get into it? Because looking at your job history, you've always been a bit creative. Yeah. So, if you can link that into that, okay, and we'll sit back in our armchairs and listen.
Brief history of time. So, 1991. I did my work experience with a photographer, and I literally only picked him because my sister had done her work experience with him 2 years before. So I was like, well, he seems nice. It's up the road. I'll do that. And he wasn't in the big book you used to get of all the different companies. He wasn't in that. So,
do you remember those days?
Yeah.
Mine wasn't in the book either.
5 things and you got something completely different. You got working in BHS for 2 weeks. So anyway, worked with Richard Harris. Used to be Reginald Harris Art Lab in Southampton. Did my work experience with him. Really enjoyed it. Lovely bloke. He hadn't been a photographer kind of by trade. He'd sort of come into it through the family, and so he wasn't particularly creative. But he was a lovely bloke and sort of quite inspirational to really get me into photography. So the first wedding I ever photographed as an assistant was in 1991. So wow. I was 14. But
you'd signed all the relevant child employment documents.
But I used to work with him summer holidays, carrying his bag around, and then sort of bringing my camera and shooting, all the way through school, college, uni. If I was back in summer holidays from uni, I'd help him. And then when it came to starting my business, I was like, I sort of didn't like the old school way of doing weddings, where it was you had a finite amount of film because it was all on film. You weren't allowed to shoot during the actual wedding ceremony itself. So you shot one shot from the back while they were singing a hymn, maybe when they did the kiss as well. So you got 2 shots from the back of the church. You met the bride as she arrived at the church. You went after the church. You did some groups. Went to the venue. You didn't photograph anything like the speeches or anything like that. You were literally in the car by 2:00. So occasionally we'd do 2 weddings in a day. One of us I'd go on to the next church to meet the bride as she arrived, or do the pre-wedding groom stuff, and then Richard would follow on to be there by the time the bride arrived. Never intended to do weddings. Somebody talked me into doing a friend's wedding because they hadn't booked a photographer and they wanted one, and would I do it? Okay, all right, I'll do it as long as I can do it sort of my way. And I really enjoyed it, even though it was a little thing. And then someone saw that and, we've done weddings. Can you do our wedding? And, oh, yeah, all right, you're a friend. I've known you for a long time. And just really enjoyed it. And then that sort of snowballed. So that was looking after itself and has done since 2008. And then all the other stuff, because I didn't want to do weddings, that's why I set up a studio. We had one of these really bad venture experiences when Maria was born, where they try and force you to spend £1,000 on a picture you don't really want. And as soon as we said, well, we've got a free one with the voucher, and it's even a 10x8 was 160 quid. Yeah. And I said, look, there's 2 pictures we can't let go, and we'll have that one as a free one. And as soon as I said I wasn't spending £1,000, the woman couldn't be bothered. Literally, she was like, okay, right, which one do you want? Okay, right, fine, 10x8's great, right, take that to the reception. It was so rude that we walked out, and Christine this was at the time, she was still walking at the time. And she sort of walked out, and as she came out, and tried to slam the door, which didn't quite work. It was one of those closers, so you didn't have the
soft close.
Sorry, that reminds me. Do you remember that one where that video of the guy if you get stuck in your car and someone's trying to strangle you and you have to like to release the seat and go back?
Oh yeah,
While the chair goes.
Winding it back.
yeah, you'd be dead wrong with it. But yeah, so anyway, as she tried in vain to slam the door, she was like, "And you can set up your own studio," you know. So, and so I did. I sort of started shooting stuff in Richard's. I started using Richard's studio. Did stuff with Maria as a baby, and kind of really enjoyed that. And so yeah, so when the opportunity came up to open the place in Base Point, rather than go off to Romsey every day again, I thought, yeah, I'll do that. Although having said that, the day I decided I was going to do that, and I went to see the bank. In between, another print company who I'd known since I worked at the university said, "Oh, Ant, if you're around on Friday, can you pop in and have a chat?" I just thought it was pop in and have a chat. I was a friend of theirs, you know. I'd sort of got to know him quite well, and I sort of popped in my suit straight from the bank, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well just take a seat in there then." And I'm like, "What's going on?" And he sat me down, basically interviewed me for a job that I didn't even know I was there to be interviewed for. And so, yeah, we were just having a chat. And then at the end of it, he basically offered me a job with much better pay, much better bonuses, much better, like just altogether work-life balance. I was running my own department. I had complete carte blanche to do what I wanted. Company car. I'm like, is this too good to be true? Like what? Like, what the hell has just happened? I've just been to the bank scrounging for $5,000 to start a business. You've just offered me a great job in a car and I was like, I've got to be honest. I said, in my head today, I'm absolutely all in. I said, I might be wearing a suit. I said, but I'll be honest, I've come from the bank to start my own business. And I'm sort of worried that if I don't do it now, I never will. But I will have a think over the weekend. You know, so thank you for this thing I didn't expect. And so yeah, over the weekend we had a lot of thinking to do, and I just had to go back and say, look, it's not the right time. I need to do this.
That's incredible.
You know, in hindsight, I regret that so much.
Wow.
Yeah, but we do and we don't we?
Because I've never earned as much money as I would have earned with them. But,
I know, but you have to look at the hand you're dealt as well, and everything that happens over the last few years for you. Like, we think that sometimes with our hand and things that are going on in these four walls is that actually, if myself or Alan was employed, you know, the amount of times we have to go and pick up a child from the school due to various health reasons,
it wouldn't work.
We'd never be able to do it. And you know, we don't want to. And we always work. Would employment be the better route for us? I don't know, actually. And then even just yesterday, we're having the conversation in the car, because the conversation always happens.
Especially with LinkedIn, when it goes, have you seen this job?
Yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah, I have actually.
This one popped up once. It was £100 an hour, right? And I'm like, I'll have a look at this. You know, and you find yourself thinking about it.
It's very easy to get kind of, you know, blinkered by the shiny company car and the extra pay and all
totally.
that. But who knows? I mean, you know, the last couple of years have proven so many things in terms of jobs have changed, situations change. You could get redundant at any time these days. Again, we always joke about.
Well, they've closed down now, so they went kind of rather kind of strangely.
And I've got a question for you, right? Because I am enjoying, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but I mean it in a slightly humorous way. I am enjoying the fact that we ask you a question and then you basically go off everywhere for a while. It is making our job this week very easy, right? But my question is, the bit of what you do that's always fascinated me because I like it is the live music. You know, because I know you were the photographer for the O2 at Southampton Guildhall, or whatever it's called nowadays. Southampton Guildhall. And you've photographed some fantastic bands. How did you get into that? You know, and any top bands? Because
I was going to say, what has been your all-time favourite photography gig?
Like as a gig,
do you mean a gig or a gig?
The Guildhall isn't one of these massive, great big arenas. You know, I tended to shoot just for the Guildhall, and I got into that when I was working at the university, at Solent University, or the Institute at the time.
The Institute.
Freshers Fair. I did all the marketing for the student union, and this is before Facebook and anything that would have made life remotely easy to let people know about stuff. So we were going down and putting flyers through every single halls of residence door, you know, like multiple times a week. And so anyway, so the Freshers Week was my thing. That was my opportunity to make money, and they'd never really made a load of money. And having worked at a previous university, I thought we can change this up a bit. So I went to the Guildhall and said, look, can we use the Guildhall instead of the little sports hall on campus, which is a nightmare to get in and out of? Can we use the Guildhall, which is much more central, 3 times as big, and use that for a venue? And we were negotiating all that. And I was sort of looking at their gig list on the wall as well. And I just said to the manager at the time, George, I said, who photographs your gigs? He said, well, nobody. And hand up, went straight up, can I come? And so he was like, yeah, bring your camera, do a couple of gigs, see what, and then show us what you've got, sort of thing. And so I did. So the very first band I shot was Chrissie Hynde and the Pretenders, and then sort of Bowling for Soup and like a sort of punk rock band, and I can't think of who the next one was, but yeah, they really liked what I did for them. Bear in mind, again, this was all still on film. So I'd go in, I'd have 3 films in my bag, because you only get the first 3 songs to shoot generally. So you go in, you're not allowed to flash, so it's super dark. And you had one camera, you'd have a film loaded up already, you go shoot. And then while they're jumping around, you're waiting for your film to go. Start again. So I'd get about 3 films shot. When digital cameras were good enough. So I think I got my first proper digital camera, I think about 2004, 2005. So I'd been doing it for about 1.5 years on about 2.5 years on film, including like Amy Winehouse and people like that. And then so digital made it so much easier because I could just stay there and shoot. It was like, I don't need to change films. So it just became the regular thing, and so I was there like house photographer since from then until sort of recently. I've sort of had to sort of drop out a few times and sort of not be quite as sort of attentive to the gig list for various reasons. And since then, somebody else has sort of muscled in via another venue, and sort of muscled in via O2 Academies, who now sort of run the music side of Guildhall, and sort of muscled in that way. And then since I had to have my ear operation last year, I haven't shot any gigs at all. So I had to just completely stop it for a while. I've sort of dropped that for the time being. Whether I get back to it, I'd love to. I've shot people like McFly were great fun to shoot because they're really good at what they do, which lots of bands aren't good at what they do. When you're that close to the stage and you can hear the noise coming from the monitors, lots of them can't sing.
Apart from Danny Jones from Masked Singer.
Because Danny from McFly just won the Masked Singer.
McFly are brilliant. They are all amazing at playing their instruments. They're all amazing at singing. They're just really good. Their energy is like off the charts. And they are jumping. So if anything, they make it hard to shoot because they're moving around all the damn time. The darkness is possibly like one of my favourite shots I've ever shot was of the darkness. It's stuck on my toilet wall in the downstairs toilet is my little gallery of loads of gigs. So that's in there. Like some bands surprise you as well. So Machine Head, not a particular type of music I'm into at all. Machine Head blew my mind. Like and Dragon Force. If you've heard of Dragon Force, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, listen to Dragon Force.
Okay.
Like, just this one song will give you an idea of what their live shows are like.
So Dragon Force by Machine Head.
It's just that, Machine Head were just incredible with just everything. And then Dragon Force took that up a notch. They were just amazing. So, the music is like crazy fast for heavy metal, but it's just like, oh my god, mind blown. And again, one of my favourite photos was of them. But yeah, just lots of bands. Yeah, God, I've forgotten. People say, "Oh, have you photographed this band?" I'm like, I don't think so. And then you got, God, yeah, I've shot them like twice because there were so many in such a short space of time. And again, like I say, it's not an arena, so you don't get some of the big tours. But I've shot bands that I've never even heard of that have since become favourites of mine.
Yeah, well, I think this is the thing about a venue like that, is that a lot of the big bands start off in the small venues. I saw Snow Patrol support Ash at the Portsmouth pyramids. You know, arguably Snow Patrol went on to be bigger than Ash were back in their day. But at Southampton Guildhall, if you shot Faithless, Embrace, Proclaimers. I'm trying to think who else I would have seen at the Guildhall. Ash, I think I saw Ash at the Guild. I think Ash at the Guildhall was my first ever gig, ever live gig.
Probably there photographing that.
Yeah,
Regardless, all sorts of bands. Yeah, like everyone, and bands you sort of forget about really, and they sort of come back and they have like a second wind, or you realise they've spent all their money from the '80s and they're on tour again.
It does make me smile when they come back.
I've even shot Rick Astley. We're
not talking about this. No. For the benefit of anyone listening,
Emily
right
wants
now,
to wrap up.
I do want to wrap up soon.
I've been trying to figure out how to rickroll you today, and I couldn't squeeze it in.
We have an ongoing love-hate, myself and ABC, where the guy rickrolls me on a regular basis, and I don't see...
I didn't know this.
Every time he gets me.
When I was employed...
Even during the live...
Oh, right. When I was employed and I was a team manager, territory manager, and I had, I don't know, quite a few people underneath me, and I used to regularly communicate with them, I rickrolled the entire team once. It was like in a sales thing. And someone replied going, I can't believe we just got rickrolled by you. And I'm like,
anyway, I want to get this back on track because we do need to kind of start to slowly wrap up.
We do, because if we're on live music, you're going to lose me. I just want to finish
off that bit with the live music thing. Is actually just to bring it back as a testament to you. You made that happen, and that's something that I've seen in everything over the last few years. You make these things happen. You didn't have to present yourself to the manager there and say, "I would give it a go," but you did, and that paid dividends in the long run. And you had a very long, lengthy career working in that environment. Yes, you're not doing that at the moment. Who knows what the future will bring to you? I have no doubt whatsoever, knowing the type of character you are and how incredible you are, and your talent as well. And for anyone who's listening, you won't be able to see the incredible photographs of ABC, but it is definitely worth you going and checking out. He is incredible. But as we come to
talking to Make It Happen, have you shot Mariah Carey? Because she recorded Make It Happen.
I haven't shot Mariah Carey.
Oh, well.
But just quickly on that, that's basically how I've ended up shooting for Hilton Worldwide.
Yeah.
Because I shot a wedding there, sent them some photos. They loved them. Can we use them? I was like, well, you can, but it'll cost you. And so they were like, okay, okay, we don't know if we've got any budget, but we do need some stuff photographed. Can you come and do that for us? So we went and did that for them. They loved that. And that has just gone on.
And I think that's something to be commended, really. And as a learning for anyone listening to this, no one else is going to do it for you. You have to be the one to make it happen. And you do that all the time. And who knows what direction that takes you. And yes, you do have to balance that work-life scenario that you are presented with. But that's your life, right? You can't change that. That's how your life is. So I think making the best of your situation and just rolling with the punches a little bit is definitely a learning for anyone listening. But as we come to the end, Anne,
we do have to wrap up.
So Alan will chat to you about live music for the next hour.
I do like that.
To be quite honest, I have no interest in live music. Sorry.
Loser. Philistine.
If you could go back and wrap your arm around your younger self, whatever age that might be, it might be your 14-year-old on your first wedding, what would you say to yourself as a bit of advice?
Okay. I think there's a couple of things I would say probably. So from a life perspective, and going back to so this is Ferris Bueller's Day Off in an illustration, which is like my favourite movie. Check out Ben the Illustrator, by the way. Anyway, so life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you may miss it, and that couldn't be truer. Like my daughter's now 18, and when I started this business, she was she just turned 2. Alex didn't even exist at the time, and it was actually when he turned just after his 7th birthday. Hang on, 7. What year was it? Oh God, no, 8 or 9 or whatever. But he said, "Can we build Lego for my birthday? Or can we build my Lego birthday present Lego? You know what I mean?" And I was like, "Mate, it's nearly Christmas. I've got to go to work. I've got to go to the studio." And he said, "It's not fair. You're always at work on my days off school." And not so much penny drop, but entire suitcase of money. Wow! Since he's been born, I've had the studio. I've worked so many weekends when I should have been at home with them, and my lease was up, and we'd actually gone over the lease, but the landlord and I, neither of us had noticed, and so I was like, you know what? Let's knock it on the head. I can't be doing with this anymore. I'm spending too much time with other families than my own.
Yeah.
And so that's when I closed the studio. And I haven't. Every now and then I'm like, oh, I wish I had a studio. I could do this or do that. And I've got nothing to do. Shoot today. I could be practicing stuff. But I haven't really missed it. And by not having a massive weight around my neck as far as the overheads of a studio, I don't have to struggle to earn that extra 15, 20 grand a year to cover it, which means I don't have to go in and work at a weekend if I've not got anything on. I can go and watch them play football. I can take them to archery. We can go out for a pub lunch. It doesn't always happen, and I'm quite working most of the time, but I've not really missed having a studio. But it means I get to be at home with them all the time, and I'd rather watch them grow up. So that was 2017 was it? Like I closed the studio early 2017. That's like 7 years ago now. That's 7 years of weekends when I've been able to spend with them. So
Brilliant.
One aspect like that, just look around, enjoy life, have the photo taken, use the nice plates, eat the cake, enjoy stuff,
Drink the
I
champagne.
enjoy stuff. You can tell I enjoy it. I eat my ice cream.
You can't today, Ant, because you're only shoulders up.
Yeah.
And I'm not moving the camera down. But but also just try not to get us distracted. God, just.
So it's the ABC
focus a
decision.
bit.
I know. Ant's lecturing us on getting distracted.
And I just want to say, from behalf of both myself and
Thanks, mate.
you are not only a fabulous human, you're an incredible husband, you're an incredible dad, and you're an incredible friend more than anything. Thank you very much for being you, and we love speaking to you. For anyone listening to the Digital Circus Life, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It has been a cracker, and we will see you next time on the Digital Circus Life. See you later.
Thanks, ABC. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.